Welcome to Map Crow, the RPG art show. My name is Kyle, and today we're talking about a spooky adventure that I did some maps for. As of the day this video goes up, the adventure, The Eternal Night of Lockwood, is available for purchase and on bookstore shelves. Let me just read some of this juicy text on the back of the book. 5 days ago, a starless and moonless night fell over Lockwood Forest and the pioneer town of Ertol. The sawmills have gone quiet and the lumberjacks have begun to revolt. The eternal night has come and all of Ertol is in the grips of panic and fear. But where there's darkness, there's opportunity. And just to be clear, I am not being paid to make this video. I have already been paid for this work. That money has been spent on rent and groceries for quite some time. The only reason I'm making this video now is because I am so proud of the work that I put into this book. And I wanted to acknowledge the amazing talent of everybody else on this creative team as well. And also to celebrate a creative partnership with this team that I kind of doubt something this special is ever going to happen to me again. In my entire career as a freelancer, I have never had the kind of collaborative experience with everybody at different roles communicating on weekly calls. And that kind of communication, that kind of teamwork is what makes this book so special. And I think that is evident even from a basic flip through of the book. The whole team, it seemed, conspired to get the best work out of me that I had ever done before. All of these details that I think really help this adventure come alive in a way that art can uniquely do. There was this moment at the beginning of the project when I was handed the manuscript and I read about this giant bell at the city gate called the Dinger, and I knew I was going to have a good time on this project. This city map was the first thing that I drew on this project, so Deanne would sometimes pull details from my map for the backgrounds and textures and ideas for his compositions. In this city, there are 4 mercantile families that are basically the founders of this city, so I wanted to make their presence known throughout the book, through the maps, and through these icons and family crests that were just emblazoned on buildings and gates. And it's very rare in freelance art for someone who's hired to just draw maps to be able to have that kind of creative input and to see that affect the rest of the process. To get that kind of permission and have that kind of back and forth with the other artists on a project. So we are building this world together in a way that is consistent and conversational. And because of this kind of conversation, when Francesca Barold came on to do the region map, we had all of these details ready to go for embellishments and extra details for them to add to it as well. And can I just say, there's a fold-out map, and on one side is Francesca's region map, and on the other side is my city map, and I have never been so intimidated before in my life. I had just gotten over the shock of having my work next to Deanne's in Flames of Freedom, and in this book, when I found out I was sharing a page with Francesca, I was like, oh boy. And that kind of like shonen rivalry relationship that I had with the other artists on this team is one of the things that pushed me forward to always be looking at their work to find their textures and their approaches and see if I couldn't integrate those details into my maps if those illustrations were coming in first. So yeah, for future reference, and I probably shouldn't say this, the secret to getting me to put more time into these maps than is sometimes good for me is to make sure that I'm sharing a book with people I admire the heck out of. And it was so validating and fun to see Deanne take some of the design work from these maps and just make a whole composition with the details that I had done. I felt like I was an illustrator, not just a contractor brought in at the end to make these things that GMs are going to complain about if they're not there. I was a creative partner and I loved it. This book is filled with so much joy. It has perforated handouts of all of these cryptic poems and in-game letters and clues to follow up on as you're trying to solve the mystery of what started the eternal night and how to end it. This adventure is designed for the game's Zweihander, but I feel like any comfortable GM who's been doing this for a little bit should be able to run this in basically any system, because James and Deanne and Dan and myself have saturated this book in everything a dark fantasy adventure needs. So if you're looking for a horror adventure to start on this Halloween, I hope you consider Eternal Night of Lockwood. Thank you so much for listening to me talk about this project that I adore. Until next time, my friends, farewell.